The DMS PU, it's a Black Cat model, and it's pretty much just an all-round shortboard model. Kind of like a little hip in the back, pretty straight through the tail. But initially I rode it at a sort of a funky beachy, and it was a little bit tough, but straight away I could feel that it had a heap of drive and a good hold. And then later on we got a good session at some fun lefts that I got to surf it on, and it was really good. It had good speed off the mark. It held in really well, and yeah, it's just a good board for just typical waves. You know, something with a bit of size and a bit of push, and it's just a reliable surfboard that's gonna do what you want it to do. All right, so this is the DMS epoxy, the exact same as the PU. It's a Black Cat model as well. It's shaped from an Aeroblank Plus, which is sort of like it's a new blank that they're developing that's higher density than your typical blank. So it's intended to cut through the water pretty easily, but it's still really light and really nice underfoot. But yeah, and the board also features injection technology, which is pretty much carbon that actually cuts through the board instead of wrapping around the rails, which is pretty awesome. Dan's pretty scientific with the way he shapes his board, and yeah, it's cool to see. But yeah, first impressions when picking it up was that it's really light, and I thought, yeah, it's going to be great for small waves, but it might be a little bit underweight in heavy waves. But yeah, I took it out at a pretty punchy little beach break, and I was pretty skeptical when I paddled out, but to my surprise, it actually really held in well. You could tell that the density of the Aeroblank Plus really helped it just cut through any unruly sections, and yeah, it felt really stable. It felt like the carbon through the back kept it real stable, but then it didn't compromise that sort of epoxy pop that you typically get from epoxy construction. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I'd definitely take it out whenever the waves are small to even when it's pretty punchy. Like it works as a substitute for a shortboard, and you can also use it as a groveler. Alright, so to compare the pair, if I were to pick one off the bat, I'd have to say it'd be the epoxy. Whilst the PU was pretty good, it did everything that you'd want from a PU, the epoxy just did all of that, but with a little more speed and a little more liveliness. So I'd have to say, unless the waves were 4 foot plus, I'd probably take the epoxy every time. It was just, yeah, it's just really quick off the mark, and then, as I said, just everything you want to do. You know, if you wanted to get to the top, it'd get you to the top and get you to the top really fast. And yeah, it turned on a dime, and it was a really good board.